Welcome back. In this video, we will develop a random password generator web application using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. In this web application, user will be able to give input as password length. So password length user will input and then click on generate password. Then a random password will be shown on the screen. As you can see, I am giving input as 10. The length of the password should be 10 and click on generate password. The password is shown on screen. As I click on generate password button, a random password is shown on screen. And if you want to find the code or the GitHub repository for this project, then you can search for my GitHub account, which is GitHub slash Shubham Lashkan. After that, go to repositories. Under that, you will find a repository named random password generator, and under that, you go to master branch and you can see whole code of this web application. So now let's start with the development. As you can see on the left side, I have already created the boilerplate code for this web application. I have created a HTML file along with style, which is CSS file and JavaScript file. And when I click on this live server, the web application will open and you can see all the things are correctly set up. I have already linked the style sheet along with the JavaScript file. Now let's start with actual development. So let me just open the application. As I can see, it is already open. And let's start with the HTML file. So first of all, we will develop the HTML, then we will write the CSS, and after that we will do the actual implementation in our JavaScript. So let's start with that. First of all, I will create a div and give it class as container. After that, let me again give a div, the form group. I will give the class as form group, and you can see I have created two divs. After that, let me give some label for the input. As if I go to this screen, here we are having some label, password length and this input box. Also, we need to give the some heading. As you can see on the top, we are having random password generator. So let's give some heading. And let me write random password generator. Let's save it. And as you can see on screen, let me just close it. We are getting this on blue color. Let me just remove the styling because we will style it later, and it is displayed in black color. Now let's create a label for the input box label, and here the label for this will be length. And the we want to show password length on screen. After that, let's create an input element of type number. So let's create it. Input type is number, and minimum value I want to be minimum I want it to be 6, and maximum I want it to be 20. So the length of the maximum length of the password will be 20 and the minimum length will be 6, and the value which I want to show on screen is, it will come preloaded, which is 8. Also, let's give some ID, so we will be able to access this element using JavaScript. Let me save it, and you can see 8 is visible and it is repopulating. And if I want to decrease it the value less than 6, then it is not decreasing, and also if I want to increase it after 20, it will not increase. So we are done with the input box. Now let's create a button which will be a generate password button. So let's create a button and give it a label generate password and save. As you can see, generate password button is visible, and after that I want to show the generated password in another div. So I will create a div with class password, and under that I will create a paragraph tag. So let me create a paragraph tag, and the ID will be a password result. After that, uh, by using this ID, we will be able to access the value of this element, and then we will set the value for this element. So by using the password result ID, we will access the paragraph tag, and after that we will be able to set the password to this element, and it will be visible on screen. So I think we are done with the index.html. Now let's move on to style.css and write some CSS styling. So first of all, let's start with the body. We need to do some styling with the body. I want to set the font family, which is Arial, and if it is not available, then uh, sans serif. Let's also align the text to center, and let's see if changes are visible or not. And these changes are visible because I am saving the code, and extension is been installed on my VS Code, which is live server. And let's also give some margin from top, which is 50 pixels, and you can see margin is also applied. Now let's give some color to this random password generator. I want to show it in this orangish color, so let's give the color will be, and let me just copy paste the hex code, and let's save. Now you can see the color is visible. Now we will create this container. Let me go to, now we will create this card type container. So let's do the styling, and as you can see, I have already created a class for it. The class name is container, so I will use dot container, and under that we will set the width and everything. So let's set the max width to 400 pixels. Let me also show the output on this screen, and I am saving my code on every line, so that's why the changes are visible. Now let's set the margin to be 0 and auto. After that, let's give the padding, and if you want to learn about padding, margin, or we can say CSS box model, then I have already uploaded a video on my YouTube channel, and I will give the link on the cards above. Let's set the padding, let's save it. After that, let's set the background color, which will be some shade of, let me see how it is looking, gray. So let's give some gray color here, hashtag, and which is F4, F4, F4. As you can see, gray color is visible. Now let's give some border, which will be 1 pixel solid. And let's give some border radius, which is 5 pixel. So you can see border is visible along with some rounded corners. Now we are done with the container. Let's give some styling for our input box. So form group will be, we want the margin to be set, margin from bottom to be 10 pixel. Let's save it, and now give the color for that. Color will be, let me just copy the hex code. As you can see, the color is orange. Now let's do the styling for label. Display it as block, and then set the font weight to bold. After that, let's set some margin from bottom. Margin bottom will be equal to 5 pixels, And let's now move on to our input, as it is small and here you can see it is big. So we will style that. Let's do one thing. So for that, input and the type is, we want to set for this specific input. And I think something is wrong here. We will do that. Input type is number. Let's set the width to 100%. As you can see, the changes are reflecting. Padding, we will give it as, yeah, I forgot to give the semicolon. Padding, which will be 5 pixels. Now font size, 10 pixels. Now border, 1 pixel. Solid and some shade of gray. And border radius, I think we need to increase the font size. It is too small, so let me increase the font size. And now border radius will be 4 pixel. Here the changes are visible. Now let's do the styling for button. It is on a gray color, and here on this we can see it is a green colored button. So let's do that. So let us style the button. First of all, we will give the padding 10 pixel and 20 pixel. After that, we will set the font size, which will be equals to 16 pixels. And then background color, I will copy the code for that. So it is coming up great. And now we will change the text color of this button, which will be color, and it is hash FFF. Now let's set border none, and now let's set border radius pixel, and we want to show the cursor. So here you can see the cursor is this normal cursor, and we want to show it as pointer. So we will set that property, cursor pointer. Save, and here you can see the cursor is changing. Let's also, we will do the rest of styling later. The output which will be shown below the generate password button, we will style it later. As you can see, we are getting this output below, and as of now it is not visible because we haven't done any implementation for on click of this button. That's why we are not doing the styling here. We will do the styling after completing the script.js. So let me just start with that. So we will create a function generate password, and let's set the on click property of that button, which will be here, button on click, and the name of method which we are creating, generate password. And let's start with development of script.js. First of all, we will set some variables, the length of script, the length of password. So we will fetch the this length input element using JavaScript. For that, we will use document.get element by ID, and we will give the ID. So let me go to that index.html, and here you can see for this input we have set the ID as length. So we will use that length, and we want the value of it. That's why value. Sometimes this procedure sucks. And also let's print this on console. Console.log value, not value, length. Now on your browser, type Control Shift and I, and whenever I will change the value and click on generate password, the value is printed on the screen, so we are able to access that specific value. Now let's remove this console.log as we don't want it. Now we will create a character set. So all the character which we want to use while generating a random password, and we will use uh, small alphabets, capitals, numbers, and special symbols. And I have already written them on my notes, so I will use that. You can see I am pasting it here. So these are all the symbols which we will use, all the symbols, letters, and numbers which we will use for generating the password. Now we will create one more variable to store the generated password. So where password, and we will set it to blank. Now we are getting the length of password, so let's loop over it, and let's try to pick one characters from this char set. For that we will loop, use the for loop, and we are using a variable where I equals to 0, I, and then we will set the value of n equals to char set dot length, because we are setting n because we will use the value of n to generate a random number, and if after generating that random number we will use that specific index of this char set, and use that value in our password, and then append it with other random numbers. After that, I less than length, and I plus plus. We are looping through it, so it's not a problem. And I am getting some error in this line. Let me confirm why we are getting an error. For I equals to 0, n equals to char set dot length, I less than length. We will see that later why we are getting this unquote unexpected token. Why it's showing like that? Okay, I am doing a mistakes here. Not there. After that, let's try to generate some random number. So we will use I will use console.log. I will print those random numbers. For that we will use math.random, and after that let's use the value of n, because n is storing the complete length of this char set length, and it will generate a random number every time. So let's save it, and if I click on this generate password button, 8 random numbers will be printed on this console. So let me click on this, and you can see 8 random numbers are generated, and they are in decimal format. So we will use math.floor method to get the to remove the uh, value after decimal. So let's use this and save it. Now click on generate password. We will be able to see integers, and the decimal values are removed. So we are only seeing the integer, and by these values I want to pick the element at index number 2. So in JavaScript, indexing starts at 0. So A, B, and C. So first character will be C. After we will be using the 54th character from this uh, variable called char set, and we will do it like that. Now we need to access the specific character. So let's do one thing. Let's set we are setting the password equals to blank. Now we will set password equals to char set, and we want the character at the location which we are getting from this method. So we will just copy it and paste it here and save it. After doing that, let's do one more thing. Let's show the password on the screen. So we will do it here. So we need to access that specific element where we want to show the password. So here the element is the p tag, and we have set the id, and I unexpectedly closed my server, so let me just open it again. Okay, let me just also open the. So yes, the paragraph tag, we will show the result of this password, and the id is password result. So let me copy the id and access this element. So document dot get element by id, and we want this specific element with this specific id, and here we want to set the inner text of that to the password. Let's save it. Now when I click on this generate password button, the password will be visible on the screen. Let's click on that, and as you can see, we are like fetching 8 indexes of this specific char set string, and we are only printing one because I think we have overwritten the password. So we need password equals to password plus. So now we will append it. Now we are appending, like, first of all, uh, let me just show it, and let me also print this character set so it will be more understandable to you. Console.log, and let me just copy this. So we will print the index, and after that we are printing the value at that particular index. So let's click on generate password. So at 32th index, the L is there. So we are copying the L from that to this uh, a variable called password, and then we are appending every time. So L, then Y, then minus, then this symbol, then R, J, 0, L. So every time I click there, we are getting a new password. So let's clean it, and let's do one thing. We can directly write it as password plus equals to. Now let me just close this inspector and generate password, and we are seeing a password of length 8, and this is on the color of blue. Like, let's just do the styling which we are discussing. So we will do the styling for that, and here the styling will be what is the name of the class. So class name is password. So let's access is using dot, and let's set margin from top to 20 pixels. After that, let's set the color to uh, the orange color. So let's copy that orange color from here. Let's set it, and let's save it. Now we generate the password. It will be shown on orange color. Let me just increase the length. Click on generate password. Then we are getting the password of length 12. Now let's just recap what we have done. First of all, let's start with index.html. Here, first of all, we have used the h1 tag to show this random password generator heading on the screen. After that, we have used the input for getting the user input. Also, we are showing the label for this input. After that, we are using a button to generate password, and here on the last, we are using a p tag, the paragraph tag, to show the output or the generated password. Now let's go to script.js, and I will explain everything once again. So first of all, we are creating a generate password function. Inside this function, we are declaring 3 variables: length, charset, and password. Length retrieves the value of an element with id length. So here you can see we are using document.get element by id, and the id of the element is length. We are accessing the value of that specific element, and here those element is this input box. So we are getting 12, and we are now creating a variable called char set and it is a string containing all the characters that can be used to generate the password, and the characters are lowercase letters, uppercase letters, number, and special symbols or special characters. After that, we are using one more variable called password, which is set to blank. Now we are looping through the uh, we are looping through our length, whatever length user is inputting, and we are trying to generate a random index using math.random, and that this value is coming in the decimal format, so we are converting this into an integer format here. After that, we are using the caret method of string to access that specific character from this char set, and then we are appending that char set to this password variable, and after that, completing the loop, we are showing that password at that specific location, which is the p tag. So that's it in this video. In this video, we developed a random password generator using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So please like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and share with your friends. Thank you very much.